It was just another ordinary night. The kind of night where everything feels peaceful, yet something in the air feels off. The house was quiet, the lights dimmed low, and the soft hum of the refrigerator was the only sound that filled the otherwise silent air. I had just finished watching my favorite movie, a thrilling crime drama, and was heading to bed when I noticed something strange. It wasn't much, just a fleeting movement in the corner of my eye. At first, I thought it was nothing, trick of the light, but my instincts told me otherwise. I froze. The hallway, usually lit by a soft glow from the kitchen light, was shrouded in darkness. There, against the dim backdrop of shadows, I saw it again. A shadow. Long, dark, and slithering along the hallway wall, where it shouldn't have been. I lived alone, and the house was small. There was no logical reason for a shadow to form where it was, and yet, there it was. I swallowed hard, feeling a chill creep up my spine. I tried to tell myself it was just my mind playing tricks on me, that I had been watching too many late-night horror movies, but as I watched it, the shadow seemed to stretch, elongating like it was reaching out toward me. A cold wave of dread washed over me. "It's nothing," I whispered to myself. "Just a trick of the light." But even as I spoke the words, they didn't comfort me. I couldn't shake the sensation that something was wrong. I turned away, trying to ignore the feeling that clung to me. But then the shadow moved. It wasn't in the same place anymore. It had shifted, silently, without me even realizing it. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt the hairs on the back of my neck rise. The air seemed to grow thicker, heavier. I could hear the faintest creak of the wooden floorboards in the hallway, as if something, or someone, was walking towards me. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt tight. My limbs felt like lead, my body frozen in place. I couldn't look away. I couldn't move. My eyes stayed locked on the shadow, watching it stretch further along the hallway. It was as if it was no longer confined to the wall, but was reaching out, becoming something more than a mere shape. Suddenly, I saw it, a faint outline of a figure, standing at the far end of the hallway, bathed in darkness. It was tall, too tall for any normal person, and its form was distorted, almost fluid. The figure wasn't moving. It was as if it was waiting, watching. A surge of panic filled me, but my legs wouldn't obey. I wanted to run, but my feet were stuck to the floor, as if some invisible force was holding me there. The shadow seemed to grow, stretching toward me with an unnatural speed. My mind screamed at me to move, to get out, but my body didn't respond. I finally mustered the courage to blink, and when I opened my eyes again, the shadow was gone. Just like that. In the blink of an eye, it vanished. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. My breathing came in ragged gasps as I fumbled for the light switch, desperate to flood the hallway with light. The sudden brightness burned my eyes, but I didn't care. I needed to make sure the shadow was gone. I stood there in the middle of the hallway, scanning every inch of the space, but it was empty. There was nothing. No figure, no shadow, nothing out of place. I went back to the living room, trying to calm myself, but I couldn't shake the feeling. That feeling that I wasn't alone. I kept telling myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew something had been there, something unnatural. Something I couldn't explain. 3 days passed, and with each passing night, the unease grew. It started subtly at first, a flicker in the corner of my vision, the feeling of being watched, of something just outside my line of sight. But as the days wore on, it became more pronounced. Every time I would sit down in the living room, I would feel the pressure on my chest, as if someone was standing just behind me, breathing down my neck. Every time I turned around, the space would be empty, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was there. I started checking the hallway before I went to bed. I turned on every light and inspected every corner of the space. Still, nothing. But I couldn't relax. There was an undeniable presence. I could feel it, lurking just beyond my peripheral vision, waiting. One evening, I was in the kitchen preparing dinner when I heard it, a soft knock at the door. It was so faint that I almost didn't hear it, but it sent a chill down my spine. No one ever knocked on my door at that hour. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. I went to the door and opened it slowly, my pulse racing. There was no one there. I stepped out onto the porch, looking into the empty night. The street was still, the only sound being the rustling of the trees in the wind. I turned to head back inside, but something caught my eye. A small, black feather lay on the ground in front of the door. I knelt down and picked it up. It was cold to the touch, and a shiver ran up my spine. There was no logical explanation for the feather. I wasn't near any birds, and it seemed out of place in the middle of the street. I dropped it immediately, my fingers trembling. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was a sign, a message of some kind. Later that night, after I had gone to bed, I lay in the dark, staring up at the ceiling. I couldn't sleep. I could feel it again, the presence. It was closer now, almost tangible. The room felt smaller, the air thicker, as if something was closing in on me. Then, I heard it, a whisper, so faint that it might have been my imagination. "Come to the hallway." My blood ran cold. The voice was soft, almost melodic, but its words sent a wave of terror through me. It felt so real, so close. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding in my chest. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, that I was just tired, but I couldn't ignore the voice. It wasn't in my head. It was real. And it wanted me to go to the hallway. My body moved on its own, as if I were being pulled against my will. I stood up, my legs shaky, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I walked toward the hallway, each step feeling like an eternity. The darkness pressed in around me, suffocating, as if the walls themselves were closing in. When I reached the end of the hallway, I stopped. There, standing at the far end of the corridor, was the figure again. This time, was taller, its form more defined, but still shrouded in shadow. Its outline was dark, almost blending into the walls, but I could feel its eyes on me. I stepped forward, drawn toward it, unable to stop myself. The lights flickered, and for a moment, I thought the figure was gone. But when I blinked, it was still there, waiting. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to run, but my feet felt glued to the floor. The whisper came again, louder now, "Come, closer." I didn't have a choice. I stepped forward, each movement against my will, until I was standing just a few feet away from the shadow. And then, the lights went out.